Check, 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 check. Okay. Hello, everyone. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Check, 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 check. Hello, everyone. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Okay, so let me get this on here, and we'll take that off. Okay, so let me get this on here. All right, we're gonna turn that down so I can't hear myself think. There we go. I got enough of me in my head. I don't need any more. I apologize. I'm going to be a little croaky today. We were at the retreat this last week, and they stirred up some dust, which stirred up my allergies, which I usually don't have a lot of. But whatever was in there, it really started some stuff in my throat, and my nose, and my head, and which kind of led right on into a cold. So I guess I officially have a cold. My intention was to be on here. Um, Hold on. Okay. Oh, got 4 on. All right, guys, tell me who you are. I got to see ya. Oh, I got a comment. Oh, that was my own comment. Never mind. Um, Let me know who's online. Miss Carol, hey, Miss Diane, welcome, welcome. Okay, we're gonna wait a little bit before we get started because this block is a pretty simple block actually. Um, what I was saying is I'm a little bit croaky still from hello. Still a little bit croaky from everything from the retreat. Make sure my iron's on because we're gonna need that at some point. And so I apologize if my voice kind of cracks and breaks, and if I have to cough or whatever, I apologize ahead of time. I do have something to drink, so hopefully that'll keep things nice and moist in my throat, not in my lungs. Hey, Miss Kelly, Miss Carla, yay! We're starting to get some people here. Woo-hoo! All right, so let me go through and just make sure all my cameras are up and running because I was working on that. I started the post, and then I looked down and realized it was on my personal page, not on my SRQ page. And, I just can't let it run on my personal page because nobody knows it's there. So I had to shut it down and restart it, which put me late coming in. And I'm so sorry because I really wanted to be early so that everybody would have a chance to get on early and chit chat and get to know each other, find out who's on. Hey, Miss Laura, thank you. I'm glad you made it. I was getting text message from people asking me if I was going to be on. Please feel free to text me if you have my business number or my personal number or whatever you have if you're trying to find out if I'm going to be on. I absolutely am going to be on. I just seem like I have this unbelievable knack for doing something wrong in the beginning, so it doesn't get me on time. But I was trying to get on early today, and then the next thing I knew, it was 10 minutes to 4, and I was like, oh, wait, I wanted to be on like 20 minutes to 4 just so I can get things up and running and to make sure everything was working. So let me see. See, that's the wrong one. That's not the right one. So let's turn that off. All right, let me try and get some. There we go. That one goes there. So I say okay. And then properties. And that one goes there. All right, I think I got all my cameras up and running now. Let's take a quick look and make sure. So that's the throat plate, and that's this one right here. Okay, and it looks like it's all nice and up and running. Looks like a pretty decent angle. Y'all, sorry for me. I probably ought to put on new ones, but it's in such a good spot. I hate to mess it up. Let's see, then we're going to go back to this one. And this is my table. I kind of like to get my numbers in there if I can. Okay, get this out of the way. I don't think we need that. And then the last one we have to check with is that one. And that one actually came up very quickly this time. Usually this is the one that gives me the most trouble. All right, so how are we doing? We got 7 people on so far. Okay. My camera in this camera looks a little crooked, and for that I apologize, because I don't know. I have such a hard time with that camera. Okay, so let's see. We're up to 8. Everybody say hello. Hello, Miss Sally. Glad to see you're on. For some reason, this one is. There it is. Make sure everybody's up there. Miss Sally, Miss Laura, Miss Kelly. On the C Facebook. I don't know what the C Facebook is. Anyways, okay. We'll probably use this one at some point, so we're going to move this over here. And let me grab my... Wow, that was really bent. Ugh. Grab this from over here, and I'm reaching over my iron, which makes me a little nervous because it's hot. It is hot. Okay, got my fabrics that we're going to be using today. I'm going to put those off to the side. All right, so while we're waiting to see, oh, hey, Miss Ann, it looks like you made it in. Congratulations. I don't know if Sheila's in yet. We got 11. Wow, that's the most I've had so far. Yay. All right, so I'm going to just chit-chat for a few minutes and give everybody a chance to get in. And this first block really won't take us long, but I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to come in and start watching. Oh, Miss Debbie made it. Hey, Miss Debbie and Miss Pam, welcome. Glad you guys could make it. And then, all right. So this weekend, I took a little break for a couple hours and went to the Hunsaders Fall Festival that they have every year, and it goes right up until Halloween. And then I think Halloween is like right up to Halloween is their last week. So this was the last week I could go, and I missed the last couple of years, and I really enjoy going to them, going to the farm. It's actually a farm, and they convert it every year for I guess just over a month, and they turn it into a festival. And they have corn maze, and they have hayride, and they have a train ride, and they got a pumpkin cannon, and all kinds of really fun stuff. Lots of different things to do. And of course, we took the grandkids, which means they saw the little tiny village, and we almost couldn't make it past the tiny village because that's basically all they wanted to do was play in the tiny village. But I personally go for the food. I love fair food, although I try really hard to stay away from it as much as possible. But I do love the craft booths, and I love to go and see what other people are doing and the different kinds of crafts. So I got a couple things that I want to show you. This is one of them. Let's see if you can see it. Now I don't know if you realize this, but I'm a big flamingo person. I absolutely love flamingos. My logo is a flamingo. So when I saw this, I was absolutely had to have it. And the neat thing about it is I actually have several of these bottled chimes around my house because I love the noise it makes. And each bottle makes a different noise. Now this is made from a different person than the one that usually makes the ones I have around the house. But can you hear that? It's just a nice, it's a pleasant noise normally. It's kind of loud inside the house. But I just really love the chimes. And when the wind blows, and I don't know about y'all, but here in Florida, we don't get a whole lot of wind. You'd think we would, being so close to the ocean or the Gulf of Mexico. But we don't, at least not over where I'm at. And a lot of my chimes are inside the pool cage, so I get even less wind. Anyways, I absolutely love it. And I was happy to be able to finally add another one to my collection of wind chimes that I have around the house. I have one out front. I have two or three out back. But the guy I usually buy from, he's no longer there. And this was actually made by someone else. And even though it's absolutely beautiful, I miss the other guy. All right. And the other thing I got was this. And, you know, I mess around with HTV and the vinyls and stuff and the scan and cut cutting. But I absolutely fell in love with this shirt. It is just so funny. I don't have hardly any Halloween t-shirts, but I do have a couple of Christmas ones. But when I saw this one, I just cracked up laughing. I did. I just thought it was hilarious. Anyway, so this is the shirt I got. And I wish I could remember the names of the booths I got these at, but I'll be honest, I completely spaced out on getting names and stuff, but it was absolutely adorable. She had a lot of really cute ones on there, and this one just kind of stuck out to me. It's kind of like, you know, being able to say something without actually being able to say something. All right. So I got a couple more days. I get to wear that, and then that'll wind up going in the closet till the next year. All righty. So tell me what you think of my gifts. Do you think they turned out okay? All right. Let's see here. Video, audio. Everybody can everybody hear me okay? I want to make sure that my volume is good. How's my volume? I know we have a lot of people signed up to watch. But a lot of people are actually, I've heard quite a few say that they can't start on today, but they will watch the video. So the video will be available on Facebook. You'll get the raw video on Facebook, and hopefully, oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. Great. Excellent. All right, so yeah, I found that this particular microphone that I have is actually one of the best ones that I've come across. It was the first one I purchased when I started doing the videos, and then I started buying other ones to see if there were any better. I know, right, Carol? I love that shirt. And then I started buying other ones to see if I can find like multiple microphones, so in case I had another guest or whatever. But no matter what, this one just seems to be. Hey, Miss Tina, glad to see you're on. Yay! But this one seems to be the best. Now, I have noticed lately that it seems to be going through batteries a lot faster, because I barely made it through the last video, about an hour, I think, hour and a half, and it about died. Excuse me. Sorry. Okay. So let us go ahead and get started. Who's ready to start? You ready to start? Okay. So that is not the cutting instructions. That's for next week. Those are the cutting instructions for next week. So what I am going to do is we're going to talk about the cutting instructions, which I have put down somewhere. I didn't pick up. Hang on, I'll be right back. Take a look at what I was working on retreat. That was the last day, day 4. Okay, cutting instructions. Man, that light's really bright. It's funny because on my tablet it's not very bright at all, but on the computer it's really bright, and then on my computer over here it's not real bright at all. So I don't know which one is worse or better. Okay, so we talked about, well, I don't know if we did talk about it. In your instructions for the Adventures in Log Cabin that I gave you. Okay, let's see. Yeah, okay. Right here is your colors, okay? Now you may have looked at it and thought, oh, there's 3 different reds. Well, yes and no. There's 2 different reds. There's a light red and a dark red. The other color is a pink, okay? So I don't know, hopefully you've got what you need, but that G color is a pink. What you may want to do, if you haven't already done this, is get your colors, cut a little strip out on the back and cut a little strip out of your colors and tape it to the back and put right next to it what color it is, okay? Because your colors may not match mine, or your design may not match mine, but you need to know which ones are A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And A is pretty simple. It's just a strip of white. Go ahead and leave it white. But you really only need a 2-inch strip by width of fabric, and even that's probably more than you need, okay? Because there's only one block that has that white in there, and it's just a small section. All right. What is purple? Purple is, there's a dark purple and a light purple, okay? And that one is B and C. B and C are light purple and dark purple. So B is the dark purple and C is the light purple. Now, because of the way some of these colors work together in the blocks that are coming up, it is probably best to keep those in the same scheme. So if B is a dark purple, make sure it's a dark color. If you're doing C, make sure it's a light color. Hopefully you're kind of going with the purple and the pink and the, going along those same lines. Just because it's easier to follow and track. Because if I'm doing a green, but you've decided you don't want green, you want fuchsia, then what's going to happen is when I'm showing you green, you're going to be thinking, oh, I've got the wrong color. So it's much easier to stick with the colors that are listed in here. And you can change up the style or whatever. I don't recommend using a large print. A smaller print would be great, but not a real large one, because it is going to get lost. There's a lot of small strips. Some of them are only 1.5 inches. Some of them are 2 inches. I don't think I have any that are like 3 inches wide. So it's really not going to be conducive to a large print. Can we get all the... Miss Ann, hopefully you have the very first page, which is this page, which has the fabric requirements right here that tell you how much yardage of each one, and this tells you what colors of sorts. A, B, and C's. I can certainly read them off real quick if you'd like. Sorry, something came through all of a sudden. Just making sure it's not important. Sheila, are you having trouble with broadcast? No, hopefully, Sheila, you are on. Yes, I do, yes. Okay, so let's real quick, we're just going to run through this. Okay, so A is going to be your white. That is, like I said, all you really need of that is about a 2-inch wide by width of fabric, and that's more than enough for A. B is a dark purple. C is a light purple. D is a green. E is yellow. And if I'm going too fast, I can do this again. Sorry. E is yellow. F is light blue. G is pink. H is dark red. I is light red. I guess I need to try and find a way to turn that down. Okay, I is light red. J is going to be the dark blue. And K is your background, which can either be black, white, whatever background you want, but make it a stark background. So either stick with a color that will be outstanding against all your other colors. I personally love black. Black is great for that. I know it's a very Amish thing, but to me, it's the perfect color for this. It really, I heard someone call it modern, and I thought, wow, okay. I guess I don't picture Log Cabin as a modern quilt, but I guess because of the way it's done against the black background, it kind of gives it that modern feel. Although to me, it doesn't seem like there's enough negative space to classify it as modern, but I don't know enough about modern quilts to be able to tell you. Okay. Light purple is C. Yes, light purple is C. Okay, we'll do it one more time, and I'll go a little bit slower just to make sure everybody's got it. So A is the white. B is dark purple. C is light purple. See, I'm still not going very slow. D is green. E is yellow. F is light blue. G is pink. H is red. Dark red. H is dark red. I is light red. J is dark blue. And then K is your background, which I have mine as black. Okay, everybody good with that? Okay, I'll wait for a second. And if you have any questions or you're not sure about a particular color, then we can go ahead and call it off again real quick. Call it out. Call it out again real quick. You're very welcome, Miss Carla. It's my pleasure. Log cabin was the very first block I think I ever did, and it was good to go, Miss Sally. All right. And it was a lesson. It was a huge lesson in learning how to work with seam allowances. Because there are so many seam allowances in a log cabin, you can very quickly lose your dimension of your log cabin because, as you know, I mean, all it takes is for just a sliver of a seam allowance to be off, and suddenly it gets bigger or smaller than you intended. And I did struggle with that a lot in that first quilt because some of my log cabin blocks got a little bit wonky. But I also wasn't using the 1/4 inch foot that allowed for, that had the little metal piece by it to help keep my fabric on. I was trying to line it up on the machine itself, and that was difficult for me, especially being as I was still new to doing blocks. Okay, looks like everybody's ready. So what we have today is we have 4 different pieces. We're going to have a set of greens, 2 sets of blacks. They're going to be different sizes. One is going to be 1.5, and the other one's going to be 2.5. I said I didn't have any 3s, but I guess I do have some 2.5s. And then we have the E color, which is the yellow, the E color, which is the 1.5, and the D color, which is the green, which is the 2.5. Now, what I was finding in my blocks is that I didn't have a lot of greens and yellows in there because there wasn't like a light green or a light yellow or dark yellow or whatever. So I used them as often as I could to put some of the extra color in there. And then the yellow, because you actually do have extra yellow in your, let's see, where are we, color K, color, okay. Yeah, color E, you have a yard of that because you wind up using it in a border and in cornerstones. So you will find that in there eventually with your yellow because it's going to be used up a lot more. All right, so in your color D, which is your green, you should have 1, 2, 3 cuts. And in your yellow, which is color E, you should have 3 cuts. Your color K, from your 1.5, you'll have 2 cuts. And in your color K, from the 2.5, you'll have 3 cuts. Okay, and we're going to get started. I'm not going to start yelling out the dimensions because you should already have your dimensions on your paper, and you should already have your paper from the email that I sent, okay? And where did I put that other piece? I'm going to make sure I have that handy too. Alrighty, so who's ready to get started? Are we ready? Are we ready? Okay, let me switch over here. We're going to go back to the tabletop. Where did my tabletop go? There it is. Sorry, but I got thread everywhere. Typical quilters, Matt. Okay. So the first thing yes, yellow is E. Yellow is E. Let's see. Yep. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the first color of yellow, the smallest piece of yellow, and the widest the 2.5, shortest of your 2.5. So they should look like this. Is everybody there? Laura's like, let's go, come on, let's get this thing on the road. All right, we're working on it. We're working on it. All right, you're going to use your typical 1.5-inch seam allowance. Okay? What am I saying? 1.5. I'm losing my mind here. 1/4-inch seam allowance. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about that piece of fabric. Okay. Oh, you know what? Hang on. Let me go back. Okay, so we're going to take it and we're going to put it just like this. And just for sake of argument, I'm going to put a pin in it, but normally I don't. Okay? So you're going to take it and you're going to go face down to the top of here. Everybody got it? And this is going to be our first piece. Okay, now let's take it over to the sewing machine. And right now my sewing machine is down, as in my needle's down. I must have left it from the work I was doing yesterday. I noticed I didn't trim that piece very well. And then I'm going to do a chop job over here trying to straighten it out. Okay. Okay. And then stitch right across. Take my needle out. Foot up. Trim it off. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and trim up this little piece right here. Okay. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do it this way, to flip it up like this. But generally they say to do it to the dark side. And honestly, for this one, it doesn't really matter because there's not going to be seams lining up. So you don't have to worry about that bulk. And honestly, mine doesn't show through, so I'm not worried about it. So let's bring it over here. Okay. And I'm going to pull my iron over. I am so glad this Singer has a, ooh, look how dirty that is. That this Singer has a long cord. I know a lot of irons do, but this one really seems like it has a long cord. Okay, and then we're going to iron it flat just like that. Okay. Then we're going to take our next shortest piece of the green. That is the D. And we're going to line it up to here, just like that. Okay. Everybody following so far? See, this isn't hard. Now this block would be a lot of fun if you did this in reversed for a full quilt. But we'll talk about that more later. We will talk more about that later. Okay. Try and keep my hand out of the way as much as I can. Okay. Get my pin out of there. It's already trying to get off on there. Alrighty. trim up those couple of threads. Get them out of the way early. Okay. Then let's take it over to the other spot. I just kind of like to flip it over like this. If you've got one of the, and I don't see mine here, one of the wood irons, it's a good time to just kind of run a quick line across it like that, and then it'll stay flat while you iron it. Okay. Okay, the next one you're going to do is the 1.5 inch at the top. Actually, notice that apparently I cut it right up to the seam allowance because that's the seam allowance, even though you really can't see it. At least I can't. So we're going to put that 1.5 inch across the top, and it should fit perfectly. And then I'm just going to use a pin to secure it. Okay, and then we're going to take it over to the sewing machine. I'll move this out of the way. And yes, I'm using white thread, but only because it's already in there. I would say I would probably go with whatever background color you're using, go with that color thread. Okay, let's trim up the thread. How's everybody doing? Everybody have a good weekend? Thought I'd get a lot more done, but I have to be honest, I was kind of out of it, and that trek to the festival pretty much did me in. Flip that over. Kind of finger press it a little bit. Or use your little wood iron. There we go. All right. Our next piece is going to be piece number 5. And of course, I'm going by what my instructions show. And that's going to be the, okay, gotta find it here. The next shortest piece of the wider fabric. How wide is that thing? All right, let's see here. Number 5 is K. Yeah, it's about 1 inch too long. Let me cut 1 inch off this real quick. Which actually, nah, I'd rather cut 1 inch off. Let's just take 1 inch off. That piece was supposed to be 9.5 inches, and it's actually 10.5. So let's take 1 inch off real quick. Your piece is probably fine. The instructions say the right size, and I was the one that cut it wrong. Check it one more time just to make sure. Yep, I cut it wrong. Okay, here we go. Yep, perfect. We're going to put a couple pins in it. And again, you don't have to use pins. If you're comfortable with not doing pins, don't worry about it. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So if you see the pattern kind of emerging here, we're using all the bigger parts, the wider parts on one side, and all the thinner parts are on the other side. Okay, so you can probably guess which one is next. Anybody tell me which one is next? While I take a sip here. Wow. Oh, sorry. Sorry. There we go. So like I was saying, as you can tell, on one side, everything is going in the thicker fabric. And then the next one on the top is all the smaller fabrics. And you're right, it is number E is next. Letter E. So we're going to put this one up here, and it's going to go next. See, if you see the pattern right here, we got a short, and then the green wider one. Then we did a short, then we did a black wider one. Now we're going to do the yellow narrow one, and we're just going to put it right on top. And your fabric should be cut so that they fit exactly. All right, I didn't put my pins in, but I'm going to recheck and check it. Ooh, let's make sure I get us over to the right spot. There we go. So make sure everything is set up just right. Put my foot down. And I feel my my seam wanting to flip up back here. So usually what I do is I just kind of lift it up and let the natural ironed path flip over on its own. And I don't generally have to struggle with it. Okay. I'm going to snip that one. And come over to here. Flip it over. Finger press or wood iron. And Lord knows we have a lot of wood irons. We've been so blessed, especially with our guild, that somebody provides these wood irons to us. Not these, but the homemade wood irons. And he's a sweetheart. I don't know if he's done them all, but Craig has done a lot of the wood irons for us and a lot of the woodwork stuff. He does a lot of my woodwork for me. The stilettos / seam rippers, he'll do those for me. He's done my tailor's clappers, and I love his work. He does a wonderful job. Okay, so now we do the green one next, or the 2.5, the white one. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like, and we're going to flip it over. And it should match perfectly. Now, if your seams are starting to get off, where maybe your seam allowance is a little too wide, you're going to start noticing it, because this is where the more seams you start putting in here, the more everything starts to get kind of out of whack. Okay. Of course, you could have just cut it wrong like I did. Okay. So one of the things you can do to check your seam allowance is I had one up here, but I don't think I have it anymore. I think I moved it. If you take your ruler from the edge of there to your half inch, or I'm sorry, your quarter inch mark, and look and see if they line up. You may need to do it at a smaller, by moving your fabric over a little bit more, or even moving your needle over. Now this particular machine, the PQ 1500, you can't move the needle. It is strictly for piecing, for straight stitch. No decorative stitches on this one. But I love it because I do a lot of straight stitching. In fact, that's mostly all I do. I see Kelly said both, but I'm not 100% sure what the both was. Are we talking about the wood irons? No, I'm sorry. I get ahead of my conversations, and I try really hard not to, but I do. Okay, so we're gonna just kind of press that open a little bit. And I'm doing this because I don't want it to bend. And what happens is when you go like this and you're pushing it, what happens is you're pushing the seam open here, but then oftentimes cut and seam width. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Kelly. You're absolutely right. I've done that many a times. Cut and seam. Okay. And a lot of times they'll tell you, you're not supposed to push with your iron, that you're just supposed to place it down. But I do notice that if I'm not careful, then sometimes it'll come back and pucker back here, where it kind of folds in on it, and you don't want that either. All right, so our next one, and believe it or not, guys, we are getting close to the end here. Our next one is going to be, that's right, the black one, the thin black one. Okay, yep, my seams are too wide, just going to, there you go, just stay consistent. That's the biggest thing. And as you can see, my green got a little bit over here, so either my fabric was cut a little bit wonky, or my seams are starting to go wide. See, now that looks like that fits just right. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a pin here, and drop a pin here. All right. All right, guys. See, I told you this one's a quick one. It's almost done. So what I was saying was that with each one of these blocks that we do, you can create. Oh, I hate when that happens. Oh, sorry. The thing about the Aria is because it's a cotton, it tends to be a little bit okay, I gotta put my glasses on. A little bit rubbery. That's not the right word. It bounces around a lot. So when you cut it, it curls up, and then when it curls up, the whole thing just goes back into the machine instead of into the needle. Instead of saying in the needle, which makes me crazy. But if you use a polyester thread, it tends to not do that. So you kind of have to decide whether you can live with the thread popping out, or do you want to switch to a polyester? Because I know there are a lot of die-hard Aurifil people out there. And I know I'm not pronouncing it right, and I apologize. It just seems like I can never get it straight. Okay. And again, we're just going to give it a quick once over right here. I know as I go along, I notice this black fabric seems to be a little thicker than I'm used to. I'm not sure where I got that from. but nice iron takes care of that problem. Okay, so then you're going to use your last long black piece, and that's going to go right there. Now make sure you're watching for your, you know, the top and the back. But with this one, it doesn't really matter. I think the top and the back are the same. Okay. Pin it down. Get it under. And there we go. Okay. Nice. And that works a little bit better. So as we cut out these pieces, most of them are going to be just like this. Your piece is going to be exact. You're going to do the same thing over and over again. So make sure you're following the dimensions that I give you. These have been checked and rechecked, and hopefully I check them again before I send them out to you. In fact, I'll be honest, I probably made this quilt like 4 or 5 times already because I checked them again, and I checked them again. Okay, so we're going to use the yellow next. And again, we're just going to kind of take a quick look at this design. See, we have the yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow, green. And the yellow comes to a stop here, and it comes to a stop here, and then the green takes over. Okay? I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but I hope it does. But again, this would make a really interesting quilt, an interesting design depending upon how you put it together. You know, if you mirror this so that you might trade out spaces with the direction of where the yellow and the green are at, it would be quite interesting. Okay, so let's take it over and get it stitched together. And I like to check it just to make sure. Okay. Y'all let me know if I'm managing to keep my fingers out of the way of the camera. Okay. All right, let's roll this over. Okay, looks nice. We're just going to hit it with some heat. Okay. All right, how many different blocks are we going to make? We are going to make 12 different blocks. And then the 13th will be the sashings and the borders. All right, and then this is the last piece. This is number 11, piece number 11. And when you get your pattern that I'm going to send to you tomorrow, it's going to show you how each one of these is numbered, Each one of these are numbered, and you can make extras if you like. Maybe you want to make them in a different color scheme. As long as you write down what your color schemes are, you should be set. Okay, now let's take this over. got my hand in the way. Sorry about that. Get that pin out of the way. Oh, didn't mean to run that over. Okay. And I got my hand in the way again. Okay, something I got to work on a little bit more. Trying to make sure I keep my hand out of the way. Okay. Looks great. Let's get it over here. Take a look. Okay, we're going to flip this over. So the cutting directions or the fabric requirements I gave you give you more than enough fabric, so that if you have a cutting issue or you just didn't like the way it turned out, then you do have a little bit of leeway. Not a lot, but a little bit. In fact, I think I wound up using the leftovers to create the let me see. Give me just a quick second. There we go. Yeah, okay. So I use the leftovers to do the binding, so you'll even have enough for the binding left over from there if you choose to do it the way I did mine. All right, so here is the first block completed. This is called the quarter cabin, and it is an interesting and different way of doing a log cabin. I know, right? Carla, I love it too. It's like, it's so different. But like I said, if you go and change this up a little bit, maybe reverse some of the way the cabins are in there, then you can create a whole different set of blocks to go all the way around and keep adding on to the corners. And this one's kind of hard to picture because you almost have to draw it out on several different sheets of paper just to see, you know, where you wanted to put the yellows and the greens, or, you know, the other colors. But it would be a very interesting, in fact, I may do that, but be a very interesting design if you kind of moved it around a bit. This should be a 12.5 by 12.5. Let's see. Here's my 10 over here. You should absolutely measure right at 12.5 by 12.5. What do you think? So it says 22, but I've got it over at 10 over here. So it's 10 to 12.5. So I'm sorry, 10 to 22.5, which means it's 12.5. Mine is backwards from yours. Okay. That's all right. You know what? I bet it's going to be gorgeous. Wow. Wow, Miss Laura, those were some really chubby seams because you lost a whole inch. Oh my goodness. That's okay. We're just going to have to keep all your other blocks to 11.5 inches. Oh my goodness. That happens. Happens more often than not. All right. So what do you think of the first block, guys? Going to rip to match. Oh, Miss Ann, no way. Aw. Well, I understand. I'm off 1/4 of an inch. Again, oftentimes it has to do with your seam allowance. Check your needle against the edge of your foot. The log cabin isn't for the faint of heart, but it's not a difficult one. It's just technically it can cause you stress. I ain't gonna lie. All right, let me turn on my main camera. Okay, so I wanted to show you a couple of the ones I did. Excuse me, sorry. Sorry. Let me show you a couple of the ones that I did. I'll turn on that tabletop real quick so you can see it. Okay. Hopefully I got that straight. Oh, thank you, Miss Jerry. I'm glad you like it. That was fun. I like the look. I know, right? This is gonna be a lot of fun. You guys are gonna enjoy this. I promise. This first one was simple, so we got through it pretty quickly, and the next ones are gonna be even more fun. But again, it all comes down to that seam allowance. Check your needle. Check your seam allowance. Next week, I will have my little measure thingy to show me exactly where my 1/4 inch seam allowance is. But there's one right there. And then this is another one. So I used some of my B fabric and did it in a B fabric. My B's. Now some of these were upside down and I didn't realize it. And if I paid attention, then maybe it might turn out, it could have turned out a little bit better. But I really kind of liked it. And again, you can do all kinds of different things. You just need to keep track of what colors belong to what, especially with what we have coming up, because you don't want to wind up having too many of the wrong colors in the wrong places. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it will help build your technical abilities as well, and it'll help you with your seam allowances. All right, does anybody have any questions so far? Excuse me. I like my B's. I probably won't do the whole thing in B's, but when I'm checking the block to make sure that it's right, I'm oftentimes have several of the same one. And so that's why I was saying I can usually put together, let's see. Okay. I wish I could, kind of master this fading in and out, but I don't. I don't have it figured out yet. How do we get a better seam allowance? The best way to do that, here, let me go down here, and we'll take a look at this. Okay. The best way to check for a good seam allowance is get a ruler. Get one of your rulers. This one has that 1/4 inch right there to there. You want to, first off, make sure you don't have your foot anywhere near the pedal, because if you have one of these underneath there and you hit that pedal, you're going to wind up slamming this down onto this plastic. It's going to break your needle. It's probably going to throw off your timing. So you're just checking this. So what I do is I put my foot down. I line up my needle with that 1/4 inch mark so that it just touches the plexiglass. Can you see that? And I'm doing that with my hand. I'm hand turning the wheel, okay? I'm not using my foot. Keep your foot off of the pedal. And then I'm looking where that 1/4 inch mark is. Now, like I said, with this one, I can't change left or right justified. I have to leave it where it is, but I can see where the mark is at, and it runs. See this mark down here that I've got with the tape? That 1/4 inch mark runs right along that edge, right along that black piece of tape right there. So I know that that's my 1/4 inch from where my needle is. If you need to, you can, a lot of you can change your machine to move your needle over left or right. Honestly, the best thing you can do is keep your needle centered, because, and I tell you this because oftentimes when you turn off your machine and you reset it or turn it off, it resets it so that when you go to stitch, it will, go ahead, Miss Carol. We'll see you next time, okay, hon? Testing G before sewing. So, yeah, definitely. But if you turn it off and turn it back on again, it resets that needle to center. And if you don't remember to readjust it, you could go through a whole project or a good portion of a project and not realize that your seam is off. Okay, so I see right here that I'm at the 1/4 inch seam mark here on my needle, and that this is where my 1/4 inch, it's just slightly past the foot, and I mean just slightly. And I would rather do, I'll be honest, I'd rather do a scant and trim off some of my block than not have enough of my block. So that's what I do. And again, I was hand turning that wheel. I did not have my foot on the wheel, on the on there to check it. And that's one way to check your seam allowance, to check your needle. And they do actually make, here, let's go here. they do actually make a ruler that has a hole in it that the needle goes straight through the hole and the edge is 1/4 of an inch. And someone showed me one the other day that gave you all the different widths, all the way down to like 5/8, 3/8, whatever's used for some of the garment sewing. So that's kind of neat, but check that. The other thing you can do is, let's flip one of these over. Is once you do a seam, check it. Maybe that one's a little easier to see. Check your seam allowance. So make a 1/4 inch stitch and then check your seam allowance against a ruler and see if you're getting that 1/4 of an inch. You're not going to get it exact every time, but you want to get really, really close. And again, you can fudge it a little bit. This is going to help you build that technique, okay? Don't expect yourself to be perfect every time. You're going to frustrate yourself, and you don't want to do that. This is all about having fun. It's about learning new techniques. It's about learning new blocks. Sorry. My poor voice is starting to wear out. So try not to go too crazy with worrying about whether you're getting it right. Let's worry about having some fun. Let's worry about learning how to make a new block. Let's not even worry about it. Let's just have fun. Let's just make some new blocks. Let's experiment with colors and just have a good time. Just for the purposes of this quilt, of this particular one, just remember to keep them straight. All right, Miss Carla, we're so glad you could join us. We're definitely going to be at it again next week. Let's see. Oh, gosh, it's already been an hour, y'all. Well, here's the deal is I'm going to try to be on early so we can chit-chat ahead of time, and I can make sure all my cameras are up, and then I can make sure my microphone is working and all that other fun stuff. So my idea is to try to be on at least 10 minutes early, if not 20, and then we can just kind of chit-chat, and you can ask questions if you have any questions. If you want to practice this block some over the weekend or until the next project or the next block, please feel free, play around, whatever you want to do. Do not stress yourself over these blocks, okay? They're meant to be fun, and we are going to have fun, darn it. All right, and you should get an automatic email that should come out around 10 o'clock tomorrow with this block's pattern. So you can see it in its pattern. You'll add that to your fabric requirements. We're going to start building it. And then you'll also get the cutting instructions for the next block. Okay? All right. So look for that. Let me know if you don't get it. Thank you, Miss Sally. I'm glad you had a good time. Now, usually what I do is first I ask you if you have any questions. If you don't have any questions, and if you do, please ask them. I want you to ask questions, but I do want to get better. Good. Good. Hey, Maggie. No problem, Miss Maggie. I believe it's Margaret. If I remember the discussion properly, I believe her name is Margaret. Yes, these will be available as soon as I end the session. Then it will go ahead and reload it up to Facebook so that you can watch it again. But I will also have it on YouTube. It'll just take me a little longer because YouTube will probably be edited just a little bit to kind of take off the, the check thing and all that other stuff. So, but I will have it up on YouTube and it will be available here. If for some reason you have someone who would like to join, now that we've already started, they would like to join us, we would love to have them join. I will have the patterns available on Etsy for a very small fee. You can purchase the pattern and join us and catch up. But the patterns will only be available one at a time after we're done, okay? Oh, see, now Miss Maggie Lou, I didn't know you were Margaret Abel. Oh my goodness. Nice to see you. I'm so glad you made it. Lovely, yay. Okay, yes, okay. So that's about all that I can think of for right now. But again, questions, any questions? And I can't wait to start seeing, hey, listen, don't forget to post some of your pictures of your blocks onto the page so everybody can see what you're doing and the colors you've picked. I can't wait. Granted, this is only 2 of the colors, but I'm excited. I want to see. I had a lot of people tell me they were going to pick from their stash or get their own fabric, and I'm more than happy about that. I just want to see what you pick. So make sure you post them onto the SRQ site. I'm pretty sure you're allowed to do that. Mine are about 3/8 of it. Oh yeah. That'll take up a lot of space in no time, Miss Laura. Yeah, that's a whole 1/8 of an inch off, and it will definitely eat up your inches for sure. And if you want to rip it out, or if you just want to try to do it, just cut the fabric again. Like I said, you should have some extra in there, especially since yellow is used quite a bit. There's, I believe, plenty extra in there. How do we do that? Sally, are we talking about how do we get into the Etsy? Etsy is srqquilters.store. srqquilter.store? Add a picture. Oh, okay. So you go in to the comments and post. And of course, if I look, it's going to show me I can post. And post and post a comment on there. Hopefully, I'm hoping you can post on there, because that would be kind of sad if I wouldn't be able to post on there. Anyways, but act like you're going to, let's see, when you go into the page, right underneath the picture should be a spot to make a comment, and I believe you can go in. If you can't, let me know, and I will have somebody else check just to make sure, and I would love to see your stuff. Otherwise, just send it to me and I will post it for you onto the site. I know that some groups you can post and some of the pages you can't post, and I'll be honest, I can't remember if I'm a group or a page, but we'll find out. Yes, we will. Any more questions? Yes, please try and let me know, okay? Because I just really want to know. What is the sewn block size? The sewn block size, the unfinished block size is 12.5. When it's in your quilt finished, it will be 12 inches. And again, seam allowance is important, so make sure you check your seams. Again, don't stress over it. Just check your seams. Make sure you're getting that 1/4 of an inch. If you have to do a bit of a scant of 1/4 of an inch and just trim off the extra, I'd rather do that. Had fun? Yes, Ms. Diane, I did too. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. All right. You are so welcome, Miss Sally. Oh, thank you for the hearts. You guys are so sweet. All right. So I usually like to end my videos with prayer because I believe in the power of prayer. So here we go. Y'all ready? Fun time. Oh, thank you, Miss Jerry. Father, I just thank you for this opportunity to share, for the opportunity to get with friends, people I consider family, my Facebook family. And I just thank you for helping us get through each week and make it through the next one. Be with us. Send your guardian angels to watch over us as we go about our business. We just give you all the honor and glory in Jesus' name. Amen. Listen, I hope you guys have a great week. It's Sunday, so that means we get to start the next work week. Try not to stress yourselves over too much. And listen, I think the world of y'all. Thank you so much. Mwah. All right. If you have any questions, email me, text me. I don't care. Just ask your questions. I'm here for you. All right. Love y'all. Where am I? There it is. Oh, so sweet.